What's up, guys? My name's Royce, and welcome to my super simple Unreal Engine's beginners course for the indie filmmaker. I did not think the title through, but welcome to part 2. And if you're finding this video first and you have not messed with Unreal Engine at all, definitely check out my part 1, because in that video I go over actually downloading the software, opening them up, learning the interface, and then we jump into some basic work as far as getting a little mini cinematic out there. So if you want to learn from the very beginning on, check out my part 1 first. And if you're coming over from part 1, what we're going to be doing in this video is just going a little bit more in depth with Sequencer, creating more cameras, and actually importing a full environment. Last one we were in a test map. This one we're going to open up a whole castle-like environment, have our character walk around in there and get some cool shots. So let's jump into that. So let's open up Epic Games Launcher, Library, and we're going to open up Unreal Engine 5.3.2 because as the time of this recording, this is still the official version. By the time you're watching this, 5.4 might have already come out, which if that's the case, go ahead and open that up as well. Everything we're going to be going over will transfer between versions, but I'm going to open up 5.3.2 because that's what we're working with right now officially. We're going to let that open up and load up. Okay, so we're going to create a new project, another new project. So we're going to go to Games. And like I said, I always choose the third person template. So we're going to choose that. We're going to keep everything over here the same. We're not going to touch this. So now I'm going to choose my project location and I'm going to give this a name. We'll call this Tutorial Part 2. You can come up with a better name if you want. And hit Create. Let Unreal Engine do its thing. So now that we got it open up here, I'm going to rearrange some stuff because I had organized things differently. So I'm going to move my content browser down here. So if a window's not where you like it to be, you can grab it and move it around. And I'm going to bring this down so we got a little bit more room. Or the other option, I can just exit out of this completely and it'll hide my content browser, but I can always get easy access to it by hitting Control Space. And that'll bring it back up, which I'll probably do that for this situation. So now that we have Unreal Engine open, the interface is how we like it. Let's go import our first environment. Yes! So to do that, we're gonna go back to the Epic Games Launcher, open that back up, and then go to Marketplace. Now remember, the Marketplace is pretty much Unreal Engine's app store, but for assets and things that will want to use in your Unreal Engine projects, like this environment we were about to look up. But don't worry, everything we're going to be using will be free. You won't have to pay for a thing because the Marketplace has a lot of amazing free assets and a lot of them are provided by Epic Games themselves. And that's exactly where we're gonna go. We're gonna go over here to where it says free content or the free tab, and then scroll down to Epic Games content. And we'll tap, click that. And then we'll go over to the right side here where it says filter results, search tags. We're going to just scroll down to environments. We'll click that. And then I believe it should be on this first page. Yes, it is. We're going to look for Infinity Blade Grasslands. Now, for those who remember, Infinity Blade was that cool mobile app where you're in this cool medieval, I guess, fantasy world. And, you do like the swipes and everything. It was super revolutionary, especially when like the iPhone first came out. That was like the game to download. The very first thing you downloaded was Infinity Blade. So these are environments and levels inspired, well, I guess not inspired, but created for that we now have access to for free. This is crazy. So we're gonna click on that. I've already downloaded it or quote unquote purchased it. So it says add to project for me right here, but for you, it should say, I guess, buy now, even though it's free. But you'll want to add it to your cart. But again, don't worry, you don't actually have to pay for it because it's free. Now, don't check out or anything, just add it to your cart because we're going to go back into the Marketplace and we're going to search for one more thing that we're going to need. And that's going to be some new animations that we'll be able to utilize in this new environment that we're going to get. And I'm also going to show you just another way you can search for things in the Marketplace. So we went to the free tab. There's a whole bunch of other stuff here that you could just click, mess around with, just browse the whole Marketplace. But what we're going to do is go to the Browse tab and then scroll down to Animations. Click that. And I'm going to quickly filter to see only what I want to see by going over here on the far right where it says filter results. We're going to go down a little bit below that where it says max price, and we're going to click on free. And this is only going to show us free options in this section. And you can do this for every single section as well. So as I said in part 1, when you're just learning this software, do not buy anything, okay? You don't need it. There's so many things that are provided for free. Wait until you start kind of getting a little bit more comfortable, then start draining your wallet. But until then, free, free, free. So over here, go to where it says MCO mocap basics. Click on that. I've already added this to my library, so it says add to project for me, but it should say add to cart, I think, or something like that. So just add that to your cart. So in your cart up in the top right here, mine says empty, but yours should have that Infinity Blade environment and now this new mocap animations. So you can now check out, and all that will then be added to your vault. And once you finish the checkout, we'll go up here to your library and then scroll down to where it says vault. As I showed before, this is where all your assets that you've purchased, paid or free, are that you can then add to your projects. So what we're going to do is you can either search specifically for something. So for me, I have a lot. So sometimes I search just a name of something if I know what it is. Or on the left side here, you could filter by category, and then you have all these options to choose from. But for a lot of you guys, these are probably the first assets that you'll have, so they should just be right there to add to your project to be good to go. So I'm just going to go over here to Search Vault and type in Infinity Blade Grasslands. So now I'm going to hit Add to Project, and then it's going to show all the projects that I have where it's compatible with this environment. And since it is compatible with Unreal Engine 5.3, we'll look for our project. I titled mine tutorial _ part 2, whatever you titled yours, look for it, click on it, and then click add to project. And then it's going to download the map or the environment. And while that's happening, we're now going to search for the MCO mocap basics. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Add to project, look for your project, and then add it. And so now it's going to download both of those assets. If you've clicked out of some things and you want to see how the progress of your download's going, in the Epic Games Launcher, bottom left, you'll see it says downloads, which you can't see because I am in the way. Wah! I'm just going to throw myself. It says downloads over here. Click on that. Right now it says I have no tasks, but if it's still downloading for you, you'll see the progress here. And this is how you can check the progress on if you're downloading a new update for Unreal Engine or any of your assets, or even a game from the Epic Games game store. It'll all show up here. Okay, so now that we have our assets in our project, let's go ahead and close Epic Games Launcher and bring up Unreal Engine again. Now, let's first open up our environment. So I'm going to hit Control Space to bring up our content browser. And on the left side here, you'll now see a folder called Infinity Blade Grasslands and another folder, MCO Mocap Basics. So if I click on the Infinity Blade folder, it'll have effects, environments, and maps. So what we're actually going to want to click on is the maps folder. And this has our level that we'll be opening to do our new cinematic, the Elven Ruins. So we'll double tap that. The speed of your computer will determine how quick this map opens. But it's open now for me. And using our buttons that we learned to navigate our viewport, WASD, while holding down the right mouse button, we can move around our map. So just take some time to just fly around here, because yeah, part 1, we were in that basic block test demo map, whatever you want to call it. Now we're in some real stuff, guys. So just fly around and just look and take in this whole thing. Start to get some ideas of some camera angles, right? And what you would want to do. And once you've had your fun with that, remember how I showed you how you can actually play a level with our third person character that we have, which is, again, why I always start a project with that. Because now in this environment, I can hit play. Look at that. We got our third person character in the level, in our Infinity Blade castle looking place. And I can run around like a video game. I just, yeah, this is it. I just love this. I love it all. I hope y'all love it as much as I love it. And you can really just take in the detail of the level. Like, this is free, guys. We didn't pay for this. This was like, we didn't have to model anything. We didn't have to create nothing. We didn't have to pay anything. This was all free. So hit escape to end. And also remember, you can control your camera speed, or sorry, not the camera speed, but you can control kind of like the viewport speed and how you navigate by holding down the right button and then scrolling with your mouse wheel to slow things down or speed things up. Or if you don't have a mouse wheel, you're just doing this on your laptop, you can just go up here to the top right of the viewport, click on the camera icon, and change the camera speed this way. And again, you may or may not get this little glitch. I always get it, and it's annoying. So that's why I just use the mouse wheel to change the speed. All right, so now let's add our third person character into this level and start filming it moving. All right, so we're gonna open up our content browser and we're gonna go to characters, but this time, instead of going to this mannequins folder, we're gonna go to mannequins UE4. Open that up, go to meshes, and then select SK mannequin. We'll first, figure out where you want the character to be. Open the content browser back up and then drag him into the level like that. Now, this mannequin right here, if you're not familiar, is the mannequin that was used in Unreal Engine 4, the version that came before Unreal Engine 5. And just to show you kind of like a side-by-side comparison, if I bring in the UE5 mannequin, let's bring them closer together. You can see there was a design upgrade, to say the least. Maybe a little flashier, a little cooler looking. But the reason why we're going to be using the Unreal Engine 4 mannequin versus the Unreal Engine 5 mannequin is because the animations that we just added to the project right now, as they are only compatible with the Unreal Engine 4 mannequin. There is a way to convert them to work with the Unreal Engine 5 mannequin, but I'm going to save that for a later day because it's a little bit of a process and I don't want us to get bogged down with that part just yet. I still want us just to focus on the fun, filming some stuff, and getting some content out on the interwebs and your social platforms. So everyone can get hyped that you're becoming a master at Unreal Engine. So I'm going to delete the UE5 mannequin and we're just going to have the Unreal Engine 4 mannequin. Now that he's in our scene, control space to open up the content browser again. We're going to go to the MCO mocap basics, go to animations, and we can see some options here. So we have walks, scared, mobility pro, conversations. So let's look at walks. We have in place and root motion. So in part one, we were working with animations that were quote unquote in place, and they were designed that way to be compatible with character motions in video games. If we double click on one of these animations, I'll double click on walk 02. We see the character is walking, they're cheerful, but he's staying in place. He's not moving because this is an in-place animation. So I'm going to close that, open up the content browser, and then go back to animations, go back to walks. Now I'm going to click on this folder called root motion. And we're going to do that same walk 02 cheerful. And we can see he's actually moving. And a simple way of just how I think about it, if an animation has root motion, that just means it's going to literally move in the space as you would, expect, us to do in real life. So if I'm walking forward, I'm actually going to move in space forward. If it doesn't have root motion, then that walk is just going to stay in place like in part 1, and you will have to keyframe animate to simulate as if it's actually moving forward. So with this, we won't have to do that. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create another level sequence for this map. So we're gonna go up here to the slate and then go to add level sequence. And I'll just create a new folder in the content hierarchy. New folder, sequences. I'll just put new sequence, I don't know. So, well, first actually, let me click in that and then hit save. So I'm saving it within my sequences folder. And now we have our sequencer window up. And now we're going to click on our mannequin, go down here in sequencer to track, actor to sequences, add SK mannequin. And now our mannequin is in our sequencer. So now he's ready to be animated and filmed. So now we'll go down here to animation, hit this little plus button. We do need to do one thing. So yes, the animations are compatible with the UE4 mannequin, but they still need to be set up a little bit because right now they're set up to work with a different UE4 mannequin. I know that sounds confusing, but I'll explain it right now. So if we go into the MCO mocap basics and then go to character within that and mesh, we'll see that this folder has its own SK mannequin. So this is what the animations are referencing. So an easy way to fix this, let's go back to the character folders here at the top, mannequin UE4, and then meshes, SK mannequin skeleton. So we're gonna open up this skeleton asset right now. And it's gonna pop up in a new window. And what we're gonna wanna do is we want to tell our UE4 mannequin skeleton to be compatible with the other UE4 mannequin skeleton that has all of the animations that we want. And this is really simple to do. We just go up here in the top middle, right here, it says Retarget Manager. Let's tap that. And then down here on the left side, it says Manage Compatible Skeletons. And we're gonna click Add Skeleton. So if you hover over the assets, it'll show you the path and the location that it's in. So this bottom left one here, UE4 mannequin skeleton, it's in the mocap basics folder. So that's the one we want. We want to be compatible with this skeleton. If we hovered over this one, you see in the path, it goes to characters, mannequins. That's our mannequin that we're using. That's already in our level. So we don't want to choose this one. We want to choose this one. And we're going to select that. Hit save up here in the top, save this asset. And that's all you need to know right now. And what we've done is we've told this skeleton of our mannequin to be compatible with that other skeleton that has all the animations. Now you're also probably wondering like, okay, well, why couldn't we just do that with the UE5 mannequin? You can, but sometimes you're gonna get some funky results because the UE5 mannequin skeleton is a little different than the UE4 mannequin skeleton because the UE5 mannequin skeleton is a little bit more complicated. It's got a little bit more bones. And when I say bones, if over here, if I click on the skeleton tree in the top left, these are all the bones that make up this skeleton, right? So this is when we get into talking about rigging a character and 3D modeling, doing that type of animation where you would actually need to be able to manipulate specific body parts of your character. The 3D model will need a rigged skeleton so the animator can actually control it. So for example, this upper arm L, that's the left upper arm, if I rotate this, it rotates that arm. And so this is how animating kind of the more traditional way is done. We're manipulating specific parts of this 3D model to get the desired result that we want. And that's something I can go deeper in another video if you guys are a little bit more curious about that. But for now, let's jump back into Sequencer so we can have a little bit more fun now that everything's compatible. Because if we hit this plus button, look at that. They all show up now. So you can pick whichever animation you want. You don't have to do what I do. Make it your own. But I'm going to choose this particular animation because it's the longest one. Searching for look around. I can't spell. So walk 06, look around, loop. So you can see here, this is a pretty long clip. I think this is long enough for this sequence that we're going to be doing. And it kind of works because he's walking, as you can see, looking around his environment. So he's like, whoa, this is cool. So that's what we're going to do. See, it's a pretty long clip. Obviously, we'll stop before he gets to the stairs. So let's actually time that out. So let's see, like maybe like right there. So we'll have our out point go somewhere around here. And so he starts over here. And actually, I'm going to change or fix this so he's a little bit closer to the ground. So he's kind of walking on air. So I'm going to click on our mannequin. Let me move this so we can actually see more names. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the increments on which I can move him. Or if I just click on this thing up here, it just turns off the snapping. So now I can freely move him up and down, whichever direction, and it won't snap to a particular number. So I can just eyeball it about like right there. Cool. So now it should look better when he's walking. Yep. Looks like he's on the floor. Nice. Cool. Yeah, that's a decent length. And if you're choosing an animation that's a little bit shorter, I'd highly recommend just looking for one that's long enough, that's somewhat around what we're doing here, just because you're going to run into some issues of having to loop that animation, and there's a whole process on smoothing that out, and that gets into some more complicated animation techniques, which I don't want to get into just yet. I just want to focus on things that are simple so we can film some things. So now we're going to add our first camera. So we're going to go over here, create new camera. Nice. Cool. So I'm already thinking this is going to go all the way up here. And you remember, I'm piloting this camera now because we can see here, pilot, actor, cinema camera, actor. But what I should do is actually set up how I want my camera to be. So over on the right side, I'm going to just bring this tab up so I can see a little bit more. Type of camera, I'm just going to do 16:9 DSLR because this gives me the most flexibility and distance. Lens, let's do like a 50. And then focus settings, going to do tracking. Like I said, I always do the tracking and then select our character. So make sure he's always in focus. And current aperture 2.8, we'll keep that as that for now. And if we click on the draw debug focus plane, we can see that he's in focus. Turn that off. Cool. So this is what I'm working with. This is what I want. But I don't like that I can see all these kind of green lines and bars. There's some other cameras that came with the level. There's a lot of stuff going on here, right? And I don't really want to deal with that while I'm trying to compose my shot. So what you can do is, with the viewport activated, hit the G key on your keyboard. If I hit G again, there's cameras in this level, right? So these cameras represent something in the level, but it's not actually a part of your sequence. So if I hit G, that means it can be hidden. But these are actually assets that belong to the level and will be in our sequence. So when I hit G, these aren't hidden. So just think of these are all things that are running in the back end in Unreal Engine that are, you know, features of the software itself that serves a certain purpose and represents something in the engine. And those can always be hidden. All right, but for now, I got my camera, got my character right here. Maybe do kind of like a shot like this where it's up here, and I go back down to the sequencer, scroll down to transform, starts here, and then as my character is walking, you know, just does like a nice little revolve right here. So we see our character, see the statue, a little bit of the water, Another keyframe. Let's see what that looks like. It's happening way too fast. So if I grab this keyframe, I can extend it to start actually before our selected sequence starts. So it's already moving by the time we get here. And then I can extend this too, so the movement happens over a longer period of time. So we get kind of like a smoother shot like that. That's pretty nice. Or I can scrap this and actually maybe I want it to maybe kind of like start up so we see more of all this space as well. Or it can be kind of like a drone flying in, right? So possibilities are endless. It's really kind of whatever you want it to be. So if I go up here, I kind of get more bang for my buck as far as like what I can see and what I can show all in one time. So if I start here, it's kind of walking. I can do one of those things where it's, you know, kind of like tilts down like that. Let's see what that looks like. And again, this is probably going to happen way too fast. Yep. So let's extend both ends. There we go. And kind of get a nice smoother shot there. Maybe for this first shot, start a little bit higher so we can see a little bit more. Replace that keyframe. Nice. So now we see he's walking over to the endpoint. Bam, maybe right about here, let's add our second camera. And let's fly this down here. And so with this, it could be a nice little reveal. Whoop, way too fast. See, you could just like play for hours, just like how you want angles to go. So this could be nice, like little rise up shot like this. And even though I will be cutting to this shot, I'm still gonna start from the beginning to get the movement. Actually, before I do that, I need to set up the settings again for this camera. So 619 DSLR. Let's do 50. And tracking again. Where'd you go? Can't see you. So I'll move up. Here we go. Go to transform here in the sequencer. First keyframe. The end. Right there. Cool. So we kind of get this movement here, which is also cool. Let's walk, walk, walk. That's nice. Just to see how these two will cut. Start from the beginning. Again, you can get to the beginning of your sequence by hitting the up arrow key on your keyboard. And then if you go up to the camera cuts track, the very top track of your sequencer, right click on that, you can change your cameras here. So it is a little confusing because on this level, there were already two cameras that came with the level. We're gonna ignore those. We only want to use our cameras. So for this first part here, let's eject from our second camera to stop piloting it. And then on the camera cuts track, let's hit the camera icon here to lock this view. So this is our first shot. Let's hit play. Oh, nice. And let's say right about here, I want to cut to the other camera. So I'll right click on the track, go up to edit, split section, right click on that. And then I'm going to choose Cinema Camera Actor 2. So now it's reveal the castle. Then coming up to the character. Nice. Bam. Cool. So see, we already got some stuff going and we're now doing it in an actual environment that looks amazing. And we really didn't have to do too much on our end. And it's all free. And let's say I want to cut to that second camera maybe a little bit sooner. On the track here, I can go into where the two tracks intersect, wait for this left and right arrow, and then just click and drag to have this clip start a little bit sooner. Let's see what that looks like. Bam, cut there. Nice. And then what you can do from here, you can do a little trickery. Let's unlock our viewport or unlock our camera cuts angle here, get back to our viewport. Maybe there's somebody already here that this person's walking to, right? And they're kind of looking out. So let's actually do that. And then I'm going to open up my content browser, go back up to characters, mannequins UE4, meshes, SK mannequin, and I'm going to put another one that's like right on this edge here. Then I'm going to hit track with it still selected, actor to sequencer, add SK mannequin 2. Under that animation track, let's see. Go to listening. Nice, and it's a nice long loop. Perfect. That's what we want. And also another way to zoom in and out of your sequencer really quick is to hold down Control and then move the middle mouse wheel forward and backward. That we just already added that animation and that character. Let's actually go back to our camera cuts and lock our camera again, because that's already going to change the sequence that we had, right? So if I just hit play, we'll first make sure the sequencer is selected, then hit play. We can now see that new character is there just chatting up on the ledge and our other character is going to meet them. Now let me do some movie fakery. So now this next sequence I'm going to set up, well, not sequence, we're going to keep the same sequence, but this next shot I'm going to set up, I'm going to make it seem as if our character here somehow gets over here a lot quicker. So let me extend this endpoint because we're going to want it to be a little bit longer. And there's a couple ways we could do it. The quickest way, and actually let me show you this because it's kind of like a cool trick that you can utilize. Let's add a third character. First, let's unlock our camera cuts and sequencer to activate the viewport again. Control space to open up our content browser. Let's go to characters, mannequins UE4, meshes, SK mannequin. Okay. And then go to track and sequencer, add a sequencer, SK mannequin 3. So we have our guy looking around down there. So over here, let's have this character, and let's see, probably like around here is where we want the animation to start. So on this character, let's hit animation, search for that, MOB, 1_walk forward. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's a nice little quick one. On that same mannequin, we're gonna hit the plus, type in stand, let's see if it comes up. Okay, yeah, jog forward to stand relaxed. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so yeah, since we're using two different animations, this is what I was talking about as far as like, now we're gonna have to blend these to somewhat go together, which is gonna look a little weird because he's not jogging. So first, we wanna make it so he doesn't snap back when this other animation, the second animation starts. So a quick way to kind of fix that is right click on the second animation and then go here where it says motion blending options. We're going to select match with this bone in previous clip. And we're going to scroll up to where it says root. So now it gets us a little closer to where the first animation ends. You know, it's a weird stop, but we're going to make it work. And we're going to zoom in, plus button on the keyboard, and let's actually bring this track up to this first track here. And let's see what this looks like if I slide it over to add a little blend. Let's try to extend this blend to see if it can get a little bit better. Yeah. Or maybe instead of like rolling up on him like that on the side, what if we do kind of bring him over here, rotate, hit E, keyboards to rotate, and he just like, hey, I'm standing next to you now. We're buddies. And let's just bring him back a little bit to where they're kind of ending in the same spot. And it gets a little tricky too when you don't have a lot of screen real estate. Once you start adding more tracks, you got to scroll up and scroll down a lot. So I'm going to just extend this just a little bit just to see everything. Let me zoom back out, minus on the keyboard. So here, stops, sequence ends there. So let me just zoom out so you can see the whole thing. So we have our first character over here. And then as the camera switches, we're going to fake it to then where this character disappears. And then this character not reappears, but this character appears over here. So to do that, we're going to have to make this character not be visible during this first part, and then visible during the second part, but then make this mannequin over here not visible during the second part. So for our first mannequin, what we're going to do is on the SK mannequin track, the main track here in sequencer, we're going to hit the plus button. And then we're going to select where it says rendering under here, actor hidden in game. And you'll see this track that says visibility. Simple enough, right? So at the start here, we're going to set a keyframe that says this actor is going to be visible. Let's lock in our camera. And then whatever the second camera is going to be, so about right here, that's where we want our character to disappear. So we'll scroll back down to our mannequin, and under visibility, we'll uncheck that. So as he reaches that point, he will be gone. And now same with this mannequin, we'll scroll down, up arrow to go to the beginning of the sequencer, hit that plus button on its main track, under rendering, actor hidden in game. And then we're going to do the opposite. We're going to uncheck visible in the beginning, hit plus to add that keyframe. And then where this camera ends, this is where we're going to add that new camera. This is where we'll want him to be visible. So now he comes into frame there. For this last part, we'll add one more camera. So now we're adding 3 cameras. Whoa. Let's choose these camera options real quick. One of those like profile, like, oh yeah, I'm talking. Oh, but now I'm here. So now it's like he kind of enters frame so we can help sell that illusion even more. Like, yeah, what's up? Up in our camera cuts at the top, extend this camera to our end. And then let's see, let's just, for fun, split selection and select our third camera here. Now let's lock our camera cut and see what this is going to look like. So nice little scene here. We see our character, but we don't see that other character here. Switches here, still don't see that character. See that character. Cuts here, he's now right there. We've sold the illusion, people. The stop isn't that bad, actually. It's not that bad. It's you know, especially in this angle, I'm cool with it. There is our second little short film that has a beginning, but nothing else. But that's okay because we're still learning how to operate this software, how to utilize the sequencer, how to get characters in here, how to get cameras in here, multiple cameras, how to cut between those cameras, how to blend animations when we need to, and when we just need a character to disappear for a second, you know? So we can sell an illusion of starting over here, but then ending over here, right? And a quick way of doing that is just having multiple versions of your character in the same scene all at once. You're probably like, Royce, that's lame. I'm gonna do something way cooler. Please do, please do. I'm just trying to give you the basics, the bare minimum to get started, so it's not too terrifying. But if you're already like, this is light work, you can make your first short film that you submit to film festivals right now. You could be doing that. Please. That would make me the happiest ever. But if you're happy with whatever you got, like I am for now, let's go ahead and render this out. Since this is a whole new project from our first one, we're gonna need to activate the render queue again. And so if you remember how we do that, we go to Edit, Plugins, type in Movie Render Queue, select that. Don't hit restart yet if you're like me and you like to use Apple ProRes for your output. So now I'm gonna search Apple ProRes Media. Okay, and then I'm going to hit restart, save selected, so it's saved everything we do, and then we wait for that to open back up. Now we're back in it, close all these windows, don't need it, and you see we're back in our demo level. Now, once you start doing this a lot, if it gets really frustrating every time you close the program and reopen the program, it always opens up this level first, and you just wish that it would just open up the level that you've been working on. There's a way to change that. If you go up to the windows under Edit, Project Settings, and then go to under Project here on the left, scroll down until you see Maps and Modes. Click on that. And then under this section, it says default maps, editor startup map. It's set to the third person map. We're going to switch that to, what is the Elven Ruins map? That's what we were working on. And then the game default map, you know, you can change this too to the Elven Ruins map. So they're both just set. So now from this point on in this project, every time you close Unreal Engine, restart Unreal Engine, reopen it back up, it'll open up in the Elven Ruins map. I'll close it now. Library, tutorial part 2. Double click that. And voila. We are already in the Elven Ruins map. Trust me, that's going to save you a lot of frustration down the road to learn that now versus later. So now all we have to do, all our characters are here, the map's here, hit Control Space to open up the content browser. Now we're going to go to the main top content folder, find our sequences folder, and then open up our sequence that we've been working on. We're good to go. Hit the camera, everything's there, locked and loaded. Don't have to worry about anything else. We can go ahead and go up to this section here, render this movie to a video, and that'll open up our movie render queue. And then under the settings here, under unsaved config, we're going to click on that, and we're going to change all of our settings again, because this is a new project, and the preset we saved last time is not in this project. So we're going to have to start all over again, but that's no problem. Under exports, I'm going to delete the JPEG sequence and then hit this settings button. Under exports, I'm going to add Apple ProRes. I'm going to change the codec to 422 LT because this doesn't need to be a high quality file. Under rendering, under deferred rendering, remember we don't have to do anything under here. Just make sure this is checked under render main pass, and it should be checked, so you shouldn't have to touch anything here. And then settings, the output, you can select your output resolution. I'm going to keep it at 1920 by 1080. Output directory, you can select where this is saved to, which I will do now. Cool. In the file name format, we're going to keep this the same as well. And with that, we should be good to go. So I'm going to hit accept. If I wanted to, I could save that as a preset. But also, I forgot, we didn't check. But if you're happy with this being 30 frames, keep it at 30. If you want to change it to 24, you can do that as well. I just changed mine, and then I'm going to reopen the render queue. And without further ado, we are ready to render our second sequence. So let's go ahead and hit render local. And it's going to compile some shaders for a second. That's okay. And now we are rendering our movie with our camera cuts and our characters. Let's go. And it's done. Shot camera starts on a subframe. It doesn't matter because it's still rendered, and that's all that matters. So if you got that error, just click out of it. It's fine. A bunch of errors always pop up. As long as it actually doesn't affect anything, you're fine. So now let's hide Unreal Engine and let's find our file. All right, let's open up our sequence, and here it is. Playing, looking good. What a dope environment. There we go. All right, well, I hope this video was helpful for you in your Unreal Engine journey as an indie filmmaker. If it was, please like this video and subscribe. It really helps a lot because I want to keep putting out these videos for you. Let me know what you guys really liked and what you didn't like, or if there's other things you want me to cover, or the things you're confused about, and I will try to cover that in a future video. But yeah, until next time, peace out.